Good morning or good afternoon or good evening whenever you may be watching this video. Brandon Tucker here once again, president of the Tucker Group Real Estate Brokerage Firm here in Okeechobee, Florida. It is April the 22nd, 2020. And once again, we're glad to be here with you today to talk about what's going on in the real estate market in the South Central Florida region. I have Bryan Holden with me here today. Thanks, Bryan, for being with me here this morning.
Thank you.
Bryan's been with the firm for, he's been in the business 16 years. And how long have you been here at the Tucker Group, Bryan?
I believe I've been here somewhere along 14 years.
Wow. So, once again, Bryan's been here many years, very experienced. Bryan came from a background in the petroleum sales business many years ago, has dealt with agriculture for 25, 30 plus years. He's in the cattle business as well as a cattleman, understands the land, understands the economics of what has to go on to be successful in agribusiness. And so it's always a great privilege to have someone like Bryan be a part of the firm and to deliver his expertise to our clients and to help our team be better every day. So Bryan, great to be here with you this morning. And so, the thing that we're talking about so much today, and kind of the three catchphrase words we're using now for a lot of our clients, is safe, secure, and self-sustainable. And those are the things that we're getting a lot of calls about. Families looking for places that they can come out, get out of the metropolitan areas where they can have their family safe, secure, and self-sustainable. And one of the properties that you just recently listed is a 590-acre ranch property on the north end of Okeechobee County on US 441, about 15-20 minutes south of Yeehaw Junction at the Florida Turnpike, and the 995 is accessible to the east as well. But Bryan, you and I were out on the property a couple of weeks ago. Just a beautiful piece, hammocks, pasture, irrigated cropland areas. Tell me a little bit more about that piece of land, Bryan.
Okay, it's a 590-acre parcel. Currently being operated as a ranch. It's called Sweetwater Ranch. It consists of bahia grass and Hermonthia grass. It's got cattle pens. It's got a hunting cabin on it. It's got a creek that runs through the middle of it called Boggy Creek. And it's very pretty along that creek. And it's the property's kind of, the way the creek runs through the property, it kind of divides it into four separate pieces that is easily accessible from once you go into the property. So you have to cross through some creeks, but that's kind of one of the.
Now there's three, from what I remember, Bryan, there's three road accesses. There's US 441, which is a paved major highway along the west boundary.
Right.
Then we have a county road on the south side, I guess, if you will, if that's right. And then there's also another county road on the north side that goes through a community called the Pinelands. Is that right?
The Pinelands. It's 300 Northeast 342nd Trail has two access points to this property, which is a paved road. Northeast 9th Avenue which is a paved road, has one access point on it, and then you have a lot of frontage along Highway 440.
So the great part about that is it's readily available electricity, which a lot of times some of these properties you have to pull power, and that can cost $100,000 or more. So we have power there available. Of course, you're going to put a well and septic in when you build a home. Now there is a cabin, and for those of you that don't know, what is scrolling behind us on the big screen back here is this actual property that we're talking about, and you'll see images scrolling through Boggy Creek, and there's a small cabin on the property right now that's actually not that old. It's got a new metal roof on it, and just kind of a cool place for the weekend to sneak out maybe with the wife or the kids. And if you're going to be building a home out there, it would be a place you could kind of crash on the weekends and kind of monitor your construction progress going on. And we can build those homes in less than 120 days. Just reminding everybody, we've talked about that last week. So those would be some opportunities there on the ranch. Tell me a little bit about, from a cow-calf perspective, people wanting to produce their own beef and have that part of it. Tell me about what this property could hold from a cattle production standpoint.
Cattle production, I think the current owner is running somewhere around 70 head of cattle on it right now. It's of course we're in the dry part of the year, so the grass is kind of thin right now, but it does have the ability to run year round. The 70 head, if you're wanting to increase your stocking ratio, you just add a little bit of fertilizer.
Yeah, we've been in a drought now for probably a little over a year, which doesn't help. But, one of the reasons that this piece of property might not hold as many cattle is because it also has a portion of the land that is irrigated for row crop that had a former citrus grove on it many years ago.
Right.
So you've got that irrigation, you've got some bedding in that area that if someone wanted to go back and plant a variety of different fruit crops, of many kinds, you'd have that ability to pretty easily go in there and do that. And so then you'd have that self-sustainability of having citrus or fruit varieties or vegetable variety if you wanted to grow, and then have a cow-calf operation as well. And you guys hear the phone ringing? See, we're busy. The phone's ringing. It's good stuff. See, normally I clip that out, but I want you guys to hear that phone ringing because that's real business going on here today. So Bryan, you've got that cow-calf production capability. You got that citrus capability, and then with the wooded areas, when you talked about the creek and you talked about the wooded areas, and then we've got this property surrounded by, at least two sides, by some tribal holdings. That there's just native game everywhere, and this game can migrate in and out. Tell me a little bit about the game you've seen out there.
I've seen Osceola turkey.
Yeah.
I've seen white-tailed deer, and you're going to have your typical coons, raccoons,
sure.
and bobcats, and so on. But it really is a really nice piece of property.
Yeah. So, close to the coast, we're 30, 40 minutes to the Atlantic Ocean from this location. You could be at the Orlando International Airport in probably about an hour and 15 minutes from this location. Really accessible to the Florida Turnpike. Okeechobee downtown would be about a 20-minute drive in, so you could kind of maybe take your choice between going to Fort Pierce or Okeechobee if you wanted to do your general shopping. But just a good location, great piece of property. Once again, safe, secure, self-sustainable, and that's kind of the thing that people are looking at today. And definitely this piece of property would qualify for that. Bryan, kind of from the cow-calf perspective, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing in the cattle market right now.
Cow prices are, we're in a drought condition. Calf prices are, they're taking a little bit of a hit right now, but we're going to rebound.
Sure.
We'll get through it. You just in tight times, you just got to watch your pennies and be a good businessman.
Would you agree with me if I said that if you were someone coming into the cattle market new, you're looking to buy a piece of land, you're not in the cattle business right now, but you want to buy some cattle, you want to buy that 70, 80 head to put on this piece of land, I would think now would probably be a good opportunity because prices are lower than they've been historically in the cattle market.
Sure.
Probably a good time to start a new herd.
Yes, sir.
Because of the prices being lower. So, people that were coming into the market in 2014 and 15 when we were getting, $1,500 for a 500-pound calf, when the market had peaked, people that were buying cattle back then were paying top prices for cattle even when they were buying land at similar prices because land values have been fairly consistent over the last few years. So I would think today would be a really good opportunity for a savvy investor to be able to get a piece of property at a good market value and be able to have an opportunity to buy new cattle at a better price than what it's been historically. So
sure.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's some of the opportunities you guys out there looking, thinking, now is a buying opportunity on that end. And Bryan's right. We are going to rebound. We're going to come out of this. We don't have any precedent to set for this because we've never seen it before, but we certainly know that we're going to be coming up out of this with the leadership of our President Trump, and other people in the leadership, Governor Ron DeSantis, all the people that are doing the things that they're doing here in our state and federally. So once again, you can reach us anytime, www.tucker-group.com. You can find us on all the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those different places, landandfarm.com, LoopNet, any of those places we're out there. We're in the local papers and in our advertising these properties throughout the nation, quite frankly, or throughout the world. So you can find us on there anytime. You can also find Bryan Holden if you go to our website, you go to our agent list, and you go click down, you'll see Bryan Holden, you'll see his bio, you'll see his picture, and you'll see his listings. You can click on that, get his email that you see at the bottom of the screen right now, give him an email, give him a phone call, ask him about this property. He has other properties as well. So we'd love to talk to you. He can do a virtual showing with you. If you want to see the property, he can do a virtual showing. Go out there, take all the video, whatever you'd like to do, and Bryan will be glad to help you with that. So, Bryan, as we're kind of closing out here this morning, just any parting thoughts that you might have for everybody?
Just everybody just stay safe and, just stay safe and pay attention to what our health officials are talking about.
Be vigilant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, be vigilant. And hey, Real quick before we close out, one of the things we talked about last week was sending your questions in, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the views. And one of the questions that I got, that's all a lot of people ask Bryan, is about what's going on with interest rates and what's driving interest rates in the market. And so, real simple answer to that is you look at 10-year treasuries, right? And so we have a yield and a cost on a treasury, and there's an inverse relationship. So as demand for treasuries, when people see risk and they're looking for places to go for a safe haven, it drives the price of that 10-year treasury up, but it makes the yield go down. And as the yield goes down, interest rates go down. And that's what kind of ties that together. And then people say, well, wait a second, but interest rates went down for a little bit, and then they pop back up again. Well, there was so much demand for refinancing and other things like that, that the banks were so flooded with that, we have a supply and demand side of it as well, like in anything else, right? So because of that increased demand in the marketplace, it made interest rates bump back up a little bit. But one of our lending partners, Farm Credit, South Florida, actually had texted me this morning and said that they are doing 20-year fixed on these type of products that we're talking about. And their rate right now, before their patronage, which is a rebate that they pay back at the end of the year, typically every year, but right now the rates are 4.75 to 6 on a 20-year fixed on this kind of product that we're talking about here today, which is an excellent value on commercial paper. And so that's kind of a news flash for you. I just got that this morning from Farm Credit. So we appreciate our local lenders. That was one of the questions we got from people viewing. And so if you have any other questions, send those. We want to be able to answer those questions, know what you guys are wanting to hear about, so we can better educate you guys when you watch these. So Bryan, awesome to see you, man. Thanks for having you here this morning.
Thank you.
And God bless everybody, and we'll see you soon.